Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Oralia. I'm a personal stylist, and my passion in life is to help plus size women look and feel their absolute best. I believe that we all deserve to look and feel beautiful regardless of size or age. And part of my job as a personal stylist is sometimes to have those crucial conversations with my clients when I find things in their closet that make them look cheap. And I am approaching this video in the same way. My clients pay me to be honest. I'm not going to lie to them about things. I'm not going to cover it up. I'll soften the blow. I'll say it with love. And that is how I'm talking to you here, with 100% love and respect. But if there is something on this list that you do that you can honestly say to yourself, I feel fantastic by doing this particular thing, then you don't have to listen to me. You do you, and do what makes you happy, do what makes you feel good, and the world will follow. I just wanted to be sure to throw this disclaimer out there because I might trigger someone, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to make you upset or offended or anything like that. This is just my perspective as a personal stylist on what will make you look cheap. That being said, let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing on my list that makes you look cheap is wrinkled clothing. When you don't take the time to steam your clothes or to iron your clothes, you look disheveled, you look unkempt, you look scattered. People subliminally make these little perceptions about you when they see you and they notice that your clothing is wrinkled. You just don't look like you care about yourself at all. And that comes across as looking very cheap and very unstylish. I don't want that for you. It will only take you a few minutes to take the wrinkles out. There are so many steamers on the market these days. Amazon carries a majority of them that heat up in no time, 30 seconds or less, and it will only take you a few minutes to steam out a few wrinkles in your clothing. I want you to take a few minutes to make sure that your clothing is presentable, because this one is so easy to fix. So very easy to fix. I mean, imagine if I were to come on here with the clothes that I get straight out of the box, don't even bother to steam the wrinkles out. What would you think? You would think that, oh, that piece of clothing looks awful. She looks terrible in that piece of clothing. Why didn't she even bother to steam it? You would think those things, right? You would not appreciate it if I were to show you clothing that was all wrinkled and everything, because it's not going to show me or the clothing off in the best light possible. There was a time in my life when I wouldn't bother to iron my clothes. That time of my life, I was in a funk, and I didn't care about myself, so I didn't care about how I looked. And that was not the person that I wanted to be. So make sure to take a few minutes to iron your clothes or steam your clothes. It really doesn't take a whole lot. The steamers are actually quite affordable. I will have some of my favorites linked in the description bar down below for you, because it's just no good to walk out with wrinkled clothing, especially because it is so easy to fix. The next thing that makes you look cheap is when you are showing too much skin or you are dressing too sexy. There is a way to be sexy and classy at the same time. You can expose one part of your body and cover up the rest. That is the easiest way of coming across as sexy and classy at the same time. What that means essentially is, if you are exposing your shoulders and your chest, then you want to make sure that the rest of you is covered up. If you are wearing something that is short, then you want to be sure that you are covered up on top. And if you're wearing something that is bodycon, then you want to make sure that things are covered, so that you see the shape of the body, but you're not seeing cleavage, leg, body, because when you do all of that, you come across as looking very, very cheap, like you're trying too hard to be sexy. And this goes for everyone. All of these actually apply to everyone, regardless of age. You want to always maintain a little bit of mystery. You want to maintain a little bit of intrigue. You don't want to have a situation where, why buy the slice when you're giving the bread away for free? Tight or ill-fitting clothes. Let's talk about too tight. When your clothing is too tight for you, you come across as looking like you don't care enough to have clothing that actually fits you. I know that it's hard if we're putting on weight, that it might be hard to accept the fact that weight is coming on and you don't want to buy pants because, oh, I'm going to drop a few pounds and everything will fit fine. I don't need to buy new pants to fit me. That's denial. That is denial of the body that you have at the moment. And so you want to be sure that you are wearing clothing that fits you well, that isn't causing any kind of bulging or any kind of binding or anything like that, because you're only going to come across as looking bigger and also just plain old cheap. If they don't fit you well, then it is time to maybe donate them or sell them and get yourself something that does fit, because you're going to look and feel much better for it. You won't look as heavy, and you're definitely not going to look cheap. Another thing that people do that thankfully appears to be waning but still is out there, and that is wearing too many logos. When you wear something that has a lot of logos, I'm going to be blunt, you come across as a try-hard when you're wearing something that is splashed with logos. What are you trying to prove? That you have money? When you are wearing clothing like this, it's like you have an inferiority complex. You're trying to shout to the world that you have money or that you can afford this thing that has all these logos on it. It goes a much further way to dress in a more subtle way, to where you look a lot more elevated, you look a lot more classy, you don't look like you're trying too hard to look like you're wealthy. It only comes across as looking cheap. I know that logo mania was a thing a few years back, and thankfully with the onset of quiet luxury, with the onset of the old money aesthetic, you know, that classic style, you will look so much more put together. You'll look a lot less like you're trying too hard. You're going to look a lot more beautiful, a lot more elevated, and people are going to be able to see you, not the logos. And that's what matters the most when it comes to personal style, is that you want to shine. You want the clothes to enhance who you are. Another thing that really makes you look cheap, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is poor construction and poor quality fabrics. This points directly to fast fashion. I would say avoid fast fashion whenever possible, because you can generally tell when something is badly made or when something is made of really terrible fabrics. They just don't feel good. They don't look good. You can see the stitching is poor. The actual composition of the fabric is poor. Maybe it's see-through. So I would say that fast fashion is the biggest culprit of this. Now, you can find gems in some of these fast fashion places. You have to look, you got to dig, but you can find them. You can also find some duds in designer pieces. You have to be very diligent about the fabric content. You got to be diligent about the construction of fabrics and the construction of the actual garment in order for you to have a piece that's going to look good even after being washed the first time. Be careful and just mind the fabric and construction, because you could come across as looking very cheap. There are several things with denim that will make you look cheap. A lot of us love wearing denim. Denim is a huge part of our wardrobes, but there are certain things to avoid with denim so that you don't look cheap. One of the things is ripped or distressed jeans. I was never a fan of that. I always felt that distressing actually cheapens a look a lot. Distressing actually takes away from your look. It really makes you look too casual, especially thinking about a work environment. And honestly, even in your day-to-day life, why would you want to walk around in ripped jeans? They don't keep you warm. They look really just old and tired and just cheap. They just look cheap. The other thing about denim that makes you look cheap is when your denim construction isn't a good construction. So if you've got small pockets that are widely placed in the back, that's a telltale sign that the manufacturer took some shortcuts in production and they are cheap jeans. Another telltale sign of a cheap jean is when the zipper is really small. If the zipper is not a long zipper, then you know again that the manufacturer took a shortcut and put in a smaller zipper. And those jeans with those two features are not going to fit well. They're not going to look good. The other thing I think that cheapens denim is when there is too much stretch in the denim. I'm not talking jegging, I'm talking about actual denim that has a lot of elastane or spandex or stretchy fibers in it. I feel that jeans that have a lot of that stretchy content in it tend to look less like jeans. It just doesn't look like a really good high quality denim. Now, I'm not saying that you should get denim that's 100% cotton without any kind of stretch. I think denim actually benefits with some stretch, but I would say no more than 5% stretch, whether that's spandex, elastane, or whatever. That, I think, is the threshold. It gives the jeans a little bit of movement and a little bit less stiffness, but they still look like jeans. They don't look as far removed from being actual denim as something that has more stretch. And then don't even get me started on jeggings. Jeggings aren't even jeans. Jeggings are leggings that are colored to look like jeans. So that's not even in this category, but don't wear them because they also look very cheap. I hope I don't offend anyone with this one, but for me, when I come across someone that is wearing a lot of fragrance, to me, that cheapens a look. When you've got too much perfume on, it's like, oh my God, do you have to wear that much perfume? I mean, that it's giving me a headache, and I'm not prone to migraines. You know, when I come across someone that is wearing a lot of perfume, oh, it's just like, why? You know, to me, it cheapens the person's whole outfit and their whole demeanor when they feel the need to drench themselves in fragrance. Generally, when I wear fragrance, sometimes I will spray it above my head and kind of let the mist settle on my skin, on my hair, on myself. Sometimes I just put it on the pulse points, but I try my best not to wear fragrance that precedes me. I don't want people to be able to smell my perfume standing a few feet away from me. I want them to be able to smell my perfume if they hug me, you know, or if they're standing near me, then yes, but I don't want to have a radius of fragrance around me. And to me, when I come across someone like that, I think that that's a cheap move. I feel that it's just like, why? Why do you feel the need to drench yourself with fragrance like this to where you're potentially triggering a migraine in someone around you? I feel that it's also very inconsiderate to wear a lot of fragrance because you do have people that are allergic to it that could get a headache from it, you know, a migraine from it. Perfume is something that should be subtle, that should be for the closest people around you. It's something that is actually, I feel, very intimate and not for the whole world to be able to smell. That's just my opinion, and I feel that it does definitely cheapen a person's style. Too much jewelry is another telltale sign of looking cheap. I live by the adage that Coco Chanel put out. Get dressed, put everything on, and then look in the mirror and take something off. If you're wearing a lot of jewelry, it just comes across as trying too hard. It falls along the same lines as the too many logos. It just is a little bit too ostentatious. When I was in my 20s, I had a friend slash coworker who, when she started making money, she started buying rings, like gemstone rings, and she would wear a ring on every single finger. And it was because she came from a background where she didn't have a lot. And when she started making her own money, she had, you know, disposable income to buy these things, and she would wear them, all of them at once. And it was because she was trying to prove to everyone that she had money. You want to try and avoid that as much as possible. I think that you'll look a lot more elevated, a lot more expensive when you wear one or two pieces. I absolutely feel that you should wear your nice jewelry out in your everyday life, just not all at once. When you're wearing it all at once, it just comes across as looking very cheap, looking very like you're trying really hard to look expensive, but you're not. You're actually portraying the exact opposite. You're coming across as very cheap. I kind of touched on this already with the fabrics and construction, but I want to reiterate this point because I think it's very important. And that is, you look cheap when you wear tired clothes. When your clothes look like they have been through the ringer, when they have stains on them, when they've got pills all over them, if it's a sweater or something like that, and it just looks bad. It just looks old and tired, and again puts off that air of you just don't, want to spend money on yourself. You come across as looking cheap. Get a debobbler. Again, depillers or debobblers, you can find them on Amazon. They're not that expensive, and they work miracles on your sweaters and your clothes that have pills. If something has a stain, then try a stain treatment of some sort, or take it to a dry cleaner. They're going to know what to do with it. If your clothes have holes, then take them to a tailor and see if there's anything that can be done to close up the holes and hide them. You don't want to have clothing that looks tired, that looks stained, that's old, that has holes, because you just come across as you don't look your best. You're not looking classy, you're not looking elevated, you're not looking elegant when you're wearing clothing like this. There are a lot of ways that we can preserve our clothes. Sustainability is something that we should all strive for. So I'm not saying throw the garment out. Take those steps to correct those so that you don't look cheap, but at the same time, don't throw it out unless there's absolutely nothing that can be done for it. And try and repurpose it if you can in some way. That also applies to your shoes and your handbags. When your shoes and handbags are starting to look really tired, really worn. If you've got shoes that are looking really tired, you can take them to a cobbler and see if anything can be done to help revive them. You want to take the steps to try and preserve them for as long as possible. Handbags as well. When the corners start to get a little bit worn and faded, there may be ways that you can save that bag by taking it to a leather specialist to see if anything can be done to preserve the bag. That way you're not looking like you don't care and you don't come across as looking cheap. Another thing that makes you look really cheap is on the beauty side of things, and that is having chipped nail polish. If you cannot maintain your nail polish, if it starts to chip, just take it off. Just take it off and don't wear nail polish until you have a chance to do your nails again or have them done. It just looks really untidy, unkempt, and like you're not taking the time to groom yourself properly. And it does come across as looking really cheap. So just take a few minutes, take the nail polish off. If it's starting to look really ragged, just go natural, or, put stick-on nails on. Go have a manicure done or get gel nail polish that tends to not chip so much. You want to make sure that your hands are well groomed, your nails look good, the nail polish isn't chipped, it doesn't look bad, and you just look like you took some time to take care of yourself. And then the last bit that I feel makes you look cheap, makes you look kind of tired, and that is bad posture. And I am just as guilty on this as anyone else because I struggle with my posture a lot. I take a lot of pictures, I do a lot of videos, so while the camera is rolling, my posture is great, but as soon as the camera stops rolling, I slump. And so I am working on learning some exercises and such to help improve my posture. I feel better when my posture is good. I don't feel as achy. I don't feel as tired. My neck doesn't hurt as much. Yes, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, when you're first starting out because those muscles aren't strong because we've just been so relaxed. But when you take the time to strengthen the muscles in your back, and also take the time to stretch the muscles in the front on your chest. Having good posture really gives you an elevated, classy, a little bit more expensive kind of look. I am also always on myself about trying to maintain my posture, but I don't always succeed. So that's something for me and for you to both work on in 2024. This video is a part of the 2024 Glow Up series. This is a series that I have started to give you my advice from the perspective of how I work with my clients. These are the conversations that I have with clients when we talk about their clothing, when we talk about their wardrobe, when we talk about what their goals are for their personal style. And it's not always about the clothes. It's sometimes about the beauty and sometimes just about your posture. I hope that you're enjoying the 2024 Glow Up series. I know it fell off a little bit because I did have an issue with my eye. I had a little bit of dermatitis on my eyelid. If you watched Vlogmas, I think I might have mentioned that I had a little dry patch on my eyelid. Well, it turned into dermatitis because I kept putting makeup on it and doing this and that. And I think I have pinpointed what might have happened. I think it is my Lumify eye drops that caused the dermatitis on my eye. I have not worn Lumify eye drops since I decided to cut everything out. I've not worn makeup on my eyes either. I'm not wearing it today. And quite honestly, I think that it's okay. I don't think I look bad. Yeah, I did fall off the series a little bit because I had to take a bit of a break to help the dermatitis kind of heal because it was pretty flaky and ugly looking. And I didn't want to come on camera like that. So I'm picking the 2024 Glow Up series. It was only going to run through January, but now it's probably going to run a little bit into February, and that's okay. With that, I am going to leave you with the playlist for my 2024 Glow Up series. I hope that you're enjoying it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in those videos. Bye.